And I don't have a creeper. You don't really need one under a truck like this because there's plenty of room. So let me get the right view here. So you'll see this little, get a good view of it, this little can right here, that's the oil filter. So the rest of this kind of all around that is the oil pan. So I'll try to get a good shot of it here. Adjust my camera out, there we go. So that's the bottom of that can right here. And just over here on the side, that bolt right there, that's the one where we need to get the oil out. So it's kind of hard to see with this, I don't know, whatever this is, sway bar here. But that's the bolt we need to take out. So let me get set up here and I'll show you how to do it. All right. So I'm just gonna scoot under here. Just kind of wiggle your way in. Okay, so you're gonna take your oil catcher, and you're gonna orient it so that the opening where the oil flows in, which is right here, is downward because you want the oil to drip in and then go into this container. I've done it on accident, backward, not checking it, not paying attention. Whoops. And it spills out everywhere, so you don't want to do that. So all you got to do is grab your 13mm socket. And go ahead and get it on that bolt, and then let's see, rotate left and DC, so this way. Oh, there we go. And then loosen it up. So once it's loose, it should come pretty easily. And I'm going to be real careful to make sure this is positioned underneath. When you first take this nut off, it's going to want to like squirt out because it's under some pressure because it's kind of deep. It's at the very bottom of the pan. And so you want to make sure you catch anything that drips straight down like this. Make sure you're going to get that, but also make sure you're going to get everything that kind of shoots off to the side. So what I actually like to do, and I know this is like not generally how people do it, sometimes I do this. So I hold with one hand, it's a little tight, and then I make sure I've just got my pan ready to move real quick in case it kind of shoots out. And what I actually like to do is just kind of hold this bolt in here and let it leak out slowly like that. Because honestly, I'm not really in a hurry, so I can just kind of drip it out. Like if I were to pick this up and pull it out right now, it would just shoot straight out. And I like to just kind of let it drip out slowly because I'm not really in a hurry, so I can just let this drip. It's not going to squirt out, like I don't have to worry about catching it. I can just come back in 10 minutes and it'll all be drained out. So that's what I'm going to do. Alright, so while I'm waiting for that oil to drip here, I'm gonna, whoops, oh that was lucky. I'm gonna catch a little bit of this new oil here and I'm gonna prepare this oil filter. So, first thing is they're wrapped in this kind of plastic. And so you gotta take that off. Make sure there's no debris or anything in there, and then you take a little bit of this oil. You just kind of can take a little bit and you're supposed to kind of rub oil around on this gasket here, and that you'll see in a minute. You'll see where this goes. This will kind of keep it lubricated and I guess keep the seals good. I don't know if this is actually necessary, but I don't know, that's how my dad taught me to do it and that's how I do it. See from this side, nice good oil drip just going right down. So we're gonna let that run all the way out and then we'll come under there and take the nut the rest of the way out and change the oil filter. Now I'm a little bit impatient, so I'm just doing this, holding the bolt out. Like I said, I really tried to avoid having to catch that squirt of oil that shoots out. So I'm just letting it really control by how far in or out I have this bolt. You can see I push it in, gets narrow, pull it out a little bit, gets thicker. At this point it's just resting in the in the threaded hole here. It's kind of got a flat end and it just sits there. So I'm just slowly letting all the oil out. So I decided this is kind of interesting to see, so I'm gonna try to get this right angle. If you'll notice, like, so I kind of screwed it in here. Oops, let's get it out. If you pull it out, you can kind of get this control here of how much oil comes out, how quickly. You do get kind of these cool patterns too. We're basically at the point, there we go. Take it out. It's all fine. So you can just take this and just put it right in here. Leave it go. If you look, you gotta be careful. It's like kind of close to the edge there. You can see that just the way my driveway is slanted. So that's another reason I like to do it kind of slow, because if you don't, it might spill out faster than it can drain into this hole. So I don't know. I've been happier going a little bit slower instead of just pulling the nut out super fast, or the bolt out super fast, and then hoping it can catch it all. So we'll let this drip out the rest of the way. Then we'll take the oil filter off. Alright, that's probably pretty good. What I like to do, there's a fly buzzing on me, driving me crazy. What I like to do is position my drip tray now, drip pan here, so that I can take the oil filter off and leave that just drip it out. No, I can't always do it because they're, yeah, see, dripping out. Yeah. Just put the nut back in and all good. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna actually tighten this later. Don't let me forget. And I'm going to work on the oil filter now. So for that, I'm going to scoot out here a little bit. Okay, so this can right there is the oil filter. And it is very inconveniently positioned. So just keep in mind, I don't know if I'm going to be able to like get a real good shot of me taking this off. But that's what it is right there. So that's what you want to take off. Actually, if I hold this, I think I can do it. So I've got this wrench. I don't think I've ever seen a design of an oil filter that's easy to take off. So they make these little wrenches, and I found there's several styles, and I found this one the most helpful. You got to put it on the right way, so I'm going righty-tighty. So all you got to do is just slip it around and then slowly loosen it. I go on the right way, right-tighty, yep, lefty-loosey. Okay, just slowly push it, and you'll feel it kind of, and I can see it there. Slowly start to spin around. I'll readjust the wrench here. Just real slowly. And what's going to happen is it's going to start dripping oil out all over the place. So you got to make sure you have your oil pan ready underneath it, so that when it does start leaking out, you can catch it. So it gets easier now. And you'll see in just a sec. You'll see from that top lip up there, it's just going to start dripping out as soon as I get it past a certain point. Whoops. I should be able to do it by hand now. Yep, there we go. See the oil dripping? It's dripping mostly from the other side, but this is how all oil filters I've ever seen are. There's no good way to kind of not make a mess. At least if there is, I don't know it. So what I do is I release them like that, and once they're almost out, you can kind of feel it's still like kind of tight. Once they're almost out, this one actually is not leaking too bad. So I think, there we go. I just kind of let all of that drip out and give it a minute so it doesn't spill all over my arm. So we'll let it do that. Give it a minute. You can see it dripping down my glove. Imagine that faster, it just runs all down your arm. It's very annoying. So I try to get my hand up high. Oh, the exhaust is hot. Try to get my hand up high, not burn myself. So it drips in a minimally annoying way. You gotta be careful, make sure it doesn't fall and splash everywhere. Now you can really see. So I'm going to let all that run out. Again, I don't know of another way to do this well. This is just kind of how it goes. Alright, so this is full of oil. It's like a cup. So you can see as I'm pulling it off, it's just draining out. So I just slowly do something like this. Tip it over. Make sure it's all getting into the pan. Whoop. That's unfortunate. The little gasket fell off and splashed oil all over the place. But you can see that whole area just gets filled with oil. So I'm going to carefully put this upside down. There we go. And let it drain into the drip pan while the rest of that. Alright, so what we've got left over, it's going to be really hard to capture. There's that little, you can see where it's dripping there. There's that little like flat spot and then that little kind of nipple that sticks down. And so what I like to do is I like to rub down that flat spot just with like a little paper towel or a wipe or something to see if I can get a view of it. I like to kind of wipe it down so that any of the old dirty oil that's in there doesn't interfere at all with the seal on the new gasket on the new oil filter. So I just kind of come in here. This is a baby wipe actually. I don't know if this is the like quote-unquote right thing to do this with, but I find if you do it with a paper towel, it usually rubs off little you know, paper pieces, and the baby wipes don't do that. So if you've got little kids and you got baby wipes around, I'm sure someone will comment and say never do that, but I don't know, works for me. There we go. Now you can see it's nice and shiny clean, no dirty oil left on it. Ow, I'm burning my arm on this. Looks good. Do one more time for good measure. Ouch. Ow. Okay. Alright, now I'm going to take the new oil filter, put it right back up on here. Remember, it's already been pre-oiled, so that should make it nice and slippery. And I'm just going to spin it right back on where the old one was. They're much easier to get on than they are to get off, I'll tell you that. So as far as how tight these are supposed to go, I never like really know. What I know is I'm afraid of me driving down the road and then them just falling off. So I probably over tighten them. I've heard that you're just supposed to make them hand tight, and there's quite a debate about this. So I just do it, I don't know, till it feels like it's not going to come off. You can see I can still, if I pull hard, it'll definitely tighten more, but it's on there pretty tight. So I don't know, there's probably an official spec, an official way to do it, but that's how I do it. Alright, now last thing I'm going to do, move the camera, come back over here. So usually by the time you're done with this, some of that oil kind of might have started welling back up in here. So I'm going to undo this bolt again and just let every last little drop of oil run out. See, there's usually still a little bit left. As it all settles down and comes through to the very bottom of the pan, I like to just let all the last of it out. So, let's put that bolt back in. Alright, tighten this guy up. Okay, now this one I do very tight. I don't know if it's tighter than I should, but I make it very tight. Oh, alright. Okay. Alright, so we're done underneath here. We don't have any more business underneath the car. We let all the oil out and we change the oil filter. So that's all we got to do here. Now we can go back up top and fill it back up, get it to the right level, and we'll be done. Okay, we're back up to the top side of the engine now. So one of the first things I actually like to do is take the dipstick out and get it all clean. And you can see, yeah, it's obviously, there's no oil left in it, but you can see it's still kind of wet, so I wipe it off. Again, this is with a baby wipe. You can use a paper towel, but I don't know, I like these better. And then we'll stick it back in there and let it sit for a minute. Just a sec while I open this up. And then we'll pull it back out and we'll see that there's obviously no oil in it, so it's empty. So that comes back out clean. There we go. And clearly that means no oil. So I'm gonna wipe this off. I'm gonna stick it back in partially just to hold on to it. And then I'm gonna put the oil in. Okay, so this is the oil I've got. It's STP 5W40. This truck actually needs, it'll usually say on the oil cap, 5W30. And you might wonder why I'm using the quote-unquote wrong oil, and that's because I have low oil pressure, probably because I've got a leaky oil pump or something else. So I use weight to get the oil pressure that I need. I use a higher weight. It's full synthetic. I don't know if I really care about the brand of oil, but I tend to use full synthetic because, I don't know, I guess if it really is better, if it isn't better, then it worked on me, and I believe the marketing. So the only, I'm gonna focus on this. The only oil funnel I have is that really dirty one. So I always miss a bunch of oil when I do this. So you saw that. It's a little embarrassing, but whatever. So this truck needs a whole 5 quarts. I think it's actually 5.5. So I usually pour the full 5 in. Here we go. I pour the full 5 quarts in, and then I measure it, and then I go from there. I have another smaller container of oil. That's less easy to spill. Now, it's not great to spill oil all over the side of your engine like this. However, it's not the end of the world. So when I run it, you can see it spills down kind of onto the headers there. I didn't actually spill. I know it probably looks like a lot, and it probably was a lot, but it's not that bad. But it's definitely on those headers, and those are going to smoke once the engine gets up to temperature. So just be aware, if you're an idiot like me and you spill a bunch of oil, expect some smoke when you're done. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to take this dipstick, position the camera here a little bit, I'm going to push it down and see where we lie. So I'm actually probably pretty good. I'm right about, let's see, come on. There we go. It's hard to tell. There we go. I'm right about where it should be at the very top. So I think what I'm going to do, let's do that one more time. Let it sit there for a sec. And then, yeah, I think we're okay. Get to focus. There we go. So it's right at the very top of where it should be. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start the engine, let it run for a sec, and then turn it off and we'll check it again. Make sure to put all this stuff back on, screw the lid back on tight, get everything else out of your engine compartment, wipes and whatever else, because you don't want any of that stuff falling. Last thing that needs to be done here, I will check the oil level after this, but this will be the end of the video. I might put a little more in if it gets all circulated around after I start it, but I'm going to go ahead and start the engine. Should not hear anything that sounds terrible. Should see the oil pressure go up. And then what we want to do, so see, I need to change oil. Hood open. Tells you this is from before. You need to hold this little button right here on the dash, and it will reset that oil life remaining back to 100. So just make sure you do that every time you change your oil, and then it'll cycle down with all the miles and speed and temperatures, everything that you drive, and then it'll tell you when you need to change oil next. And And that should be it. So I'm gonna let this run for just a minute, let the oil work through all the system that I just changed, check the oil level again, add any more if I need, but hopefully not, and I'll be done. So thanks for watching. So one side note, we'll see if you can see it on the camera here. There you go, yep. So it is smoking. Once the headers heat up, all that oil I dripped down, you'll start to see it and you can smell it. So if you're driving right after an oil change and you just spilled oil on your headers like that and you start to smell smoke or you see smoke, don't freak out immediately, right? It should burn off in a couple minutes. It's not ideal, but it does happen. So if it continues to smoke more than 5 or 10 minutes after that, you probably got an actual problem. But if you see some smoke like that, that's okay. That's just that oil that I spilled. So just be aware of that. So final PS, after running for a couple minutes, I checked the dipstick again, and you can see how much it goes down after you run the engine for just a sec. So be aware of that. If you fill it up and you're like, oh, it's great, it's halfway, that's right where I need to be, run it and test it again, because it will move oil around and you might have to add more. So, okay, last thing.